We're going to do something a little bit different, okay? I seen this article, and even just the title, I knew that it was just going to be terrible advice, okay? The way that I seen it, the way that I seen that it was written, I anticipated that it was probably written by some lonely woman who's just, notorious for giving bad advice. But it was written by some beta male simp, okay? So this is just going to be just as fun to tear apart. So I'm going to give you a different perspective on this. Maybe he's got some good points, maybe he doesn't. Highly likely it's the latter, though, especially from the first line here. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Really? You think that, huh? Cool. That's why society's as messed up as it is. Coined in the 1970s, that feminist adage may bring a smile, but the sentiment behind it is deadly to the female-male romances and relationships, especially when men throw it into reverse. A man needs a woman like a fish needs a bicycle. Well, if we're just talking about like the bare bones, like if there was an apocalypse like tomorrow, okay, we all wake up in the morning, the sky is green and everything is just irradiated fully, and we're just in a completely desolate wasteland. Which group, if we're just to devolve into a binary, which group is going to last longer? I think you know the answer to that. But given enough time, one group would end up bartering very obvious propositions with the other, and then we just, whatever, regardless. Of course, men and women have a long waged the battle of the sexes. Not really. It's only since the sexual revolution and the creation of the hormonal birth control in 1965, and then things started to get wonky from then, but alright. But our ancestors often used humor as their shields and swords. What are you talking about? They made good-natured cracks at the opposite sex, laughing at their foibles and their differences, from Geoffrey Chaucer's The Wife of the Bath to comedian Henny Youngman's classic line, "Take my wife, please." I tell you. The dissimilarities between men and women were frequently a source of amusement founded on affection. No more. Now it's all Me Too and nonsense like that. For decades now, our politically correct age has eroded those entertainments and endearments. Yep, now it's believe all women, Me Too, men are incompetent fools, you don't believe me, just watch even a modicum of entertainment over the past decade and a half, and you'll just see how they hate straight white men. Okay, now it's even starting to encroach into just being straight men in general. These assaults have taken a toll on love and romance. Marriage rates are declining. Oh no, that's the state being involved in marriage, if we're going to be completely honest about this. Because why would one party be put into a situation where they're incentivized by the state to have it broken and then they lose everything? Doesn't make any sense. If you want to get married, cool, that's great. Just don't involve the state, because it incentivizes the woman to break the contract and ruin you financially. And what do you mean by love and romance? Anyways, we'll probably get to that. As Lawrence Samuels reports in The Romantic Love Going Extinct? No. We just need to update with the times. Many young people scorned romantic love in the past because they fear the emotional bonds associated with it, because you have highly feminized males and you have highly masculine females. And they're incompatible with one another, because you got the strong, independent woman, and you got the sensitive, emotionally vulnerable male, and they're incompatible with our own human biology. He said, a national poll of 18 to 29-year-olds conducted the Pew Research Center found that almost 60% of the respondents were not in time of committed relationships, and most of them were not interested in becoming committed to anyone. How many of them are just spinning plates, though, or dating non-exclusively? And 18 to 29-year-olds? Why on earth would any 18 to 29-year-old woman, okay, and I would have the people that would be in a committed relationship, okay, the females in the 28, 29, or even 27, 28, and 29, those would be the ones entering the committed relationship. The undesirability of your average man getting into that category hasn't achieved anything that makes them sexually desirable, okay, or even romantically desirable yet, okay? They're still on their come up, okay? They're getting promotions, okay? They're leaving college, okay? They're exiting their internships, okay? They're beginning to start to make the inklings of what makes them successful, okay? They're still, from their market value primes, they're still long into the future, okay? As for women, 18 to 29-year-olds, that is the most desirable group from a romantic sexual standpoint. It's just indisputable. From the 2021 article, fewer Americans see romantic partners as a source of life's meaning. Oh, those poor dating in the Western world is destroyed anyways. Hillary Hofflower, again, women with terrible dating advice, reported that recent Pew Research Center poll that surveyed more than 2,500 Americans found that 9% of respondents cited their spouse or romantic partner as a source of meaning in life. It's quite a drop from 2017, where 20% said the same. I'd like to see more of the methodology of that research. That just goes to show the sharp decline of society. And that's why it's in the state that it is. But suppose some men and women want to buck this trend and pursue true love. Oh, let the games begin. Avoid chauvinism and stereotypes. What do you mean by that? Sigmund Freud once asked, what do women want? They don't even know themselves. That's a foolish question. Right now, planet Earth is about some 3.905 billion females. Ask those women, what do you want? And they have no goddamn clue. And you're likely to get several million answers. How many of them are going to be honest and true and not swayed by emotion? There are 3.97 billion men on Earth. Ask them what they want, and you'll get a million different answers, huh? Oh, yeah? You think? Here's a thought. Let's stop lumping people together and stereotyping them based on their gender. Let's stop saying, for instance, that all men are unfeeling lunkheads or that women are emotionally manipulative. Instead, let's regard a person who has attracted us as a unique human being. Actually, it's pretty much set in stone. What men look for in a romantic relationship, in a sexual partnership, is pretty simple. It's pretty universal. Men need somebody that they're sexually attracted to and somebody who would be supportive. Those are the top two things, okay? And then for women, they require provision and security. It's pretty simple and it's pretty universal, okay? Obviously for women, what they're attracted to, obviously you need to be somewhat attractive and congruent in your personality, okay? Being able to maintain a conversation and prove your worth through actions, obviously, all that stuff. But let's not pretend that that's unique, okay? You may have some ladies who are fine with a 5'8", 5'9" individual, but then mostly, okay, you're looking at 6 feet and over, okay? That's why it's basically a meme at this point, right? 6 feet tall, 6-pack abs, 6-digit salary. You go anywhere in the Western world, that's what the girls that are out there are going to be talking about, okay? And then if you get down to the male desire, what do they look for in a long-term partner? Because that's what we're talking about here, right? Okay, somebody who's attractive, somebody who's kind, somebody who is supportive, somebody who is submissive. It's pretty simple. Show some respect and empathy. Oh, this could be a hot take. Most of us had learned at an early age to cross the street. We needed to stop, look, and listen. We should apply those rules in our relationship with the opposite sex. Let's say you come home after a hard day of work to a loved one trying to cook supper while carrying a wailing toddler. Do you pause a moment, offer to take the baby or stir the soup, ask your partner about his or her day? Or do you immediately start moaning and groaning about the day at the office and the latest shenanigans of the boss? They don't explain it specifically, but let's be completely honest, right? Theoretically, if it's a wailing toddler at home and somebody's cooking, they don't say that it's the woman, but it's obviously going to be the woman, right? And like I said, this could be a hot take, but wise men have once said, women don't care about men's struggles. They just wait at the finish line and then they bang the winner. They don't care. And the way that men and women process different stimulants, it's a triumvirate approach, right? You have your instincts, you have your emotion, and you have your reason and rationality. Interchangeable terms, right? For men, they process things through instinct, then they process it through rationality, and then through their emotions. For women, it's instinct, emotion, rationality. Thanks to the female-centric, gynocentric worldview that we currently have in the Western society, everything is processed through an unnatural way for the males to process everything through emotion first. How do you feel about that? Okay, instead of I think about something, I feel about it this way. Okay, so if a man comes home and he sees that, okay, well, first of all, why are you still cooking when you know what time your husband comes home? That's a big problem in and of itself. But regardless, okay, they wouldn't just start and come home and start complaining about the boss. No, that wouldn't be an unprompted conversation. But then that also kind of just plays into the third point here, which I knew this was going to be a really terribly written article and that we'd be able to tear through. Men play the gentleman. Oh, yeah. In her 2019 column, when did men stop being gentlemen? When women started acting like the men that they wanted to marry. Whoops! Jackie Philosoph wrote, when it comes to men, I'm old school. Are you really? I like a gentleman. Oh, okay, cool. That's what you like. but you said you're old school. So what qualities do you have that necessitate an old school man? What are you talking about? She then described a female friend, sure, definitely not first person account, who went on a first date with a narcissistic man who paid little attention to her. Probably played, oh, you know what? I want an equal partner in a relationship. They probably ended up talking 50-50, which is, if you're on a date with a woman, it should be about 70-30 in her benefit, by the way. So, oh, a narcissistic man who paid little attention to her. I gotta press X to doubt on that. Ordered his favorites from the menu, blabbed about his work, and even asked her for a ride home at the end of the evening. So he went on a date with a bum. I was like, okay, cool. So again, what would be different if you brought a career woman out there? Would she have acted any differently? Somebody who, say, writes for the Chicago Tribune. Philosoph was appalled. As for me, I just wanted to smack the guy upside the head with an etiquette guide. Yeah, exactly, physical violence. That's what you do for an old school man, right? You'd act like a masculine woman. Okay. At the end of the article, Philosoph said she knows plenty of men who haven't forgotten how to be gentlemen. Yeah, exactly. And how many of those guys do you have sex with? Guys, being a gentleman is easy and painless. Yes, just allow these women to walk right over you. That's why they're still dating in their 30s and 40s. Mostly it means making those around you comfortable, sharing a conversation rather than dominating it. Truly listening and staying focused on your companion. Exactly, just dote all over her. Don't stand up for yourself, because that could be mean and toxically masculine. One practical tip. Oh boy, if you want to make an impression on a first date, bring her flowers. No, you're setting a terrible precedent that you're going to continuously shower her with gifts. Bad move. This is why you don't take dating advice from women. And if you're married or in a long-term relationship, bring some flowers or some other unexpected gifts. Unfortunately, if you're in a long-term relationship or if you're married, you might have already set the precedent that gifts are kind of a make-good situation. You did something, you screwed up somewhere along the way. So, oh, here's a box of chocolate, or here's the flowers. Or you're just using it to demarcate some sort of Hallmark holiday, right? Like Valentine's Day, or here's our anniversary, so I guess that's a one time of year. We make reservations and we go out for dinner. And then, you know what, if I've been a good boy this year, I can go home and we can have fun times. No. If your significant other does something good, then they get rewarded, okay? That's when gifts should be broken out. They shouldn't just be, oh, thanks for going on dinner with me, which I'm going to be paying for everything for, and then I'm going to listen into your banal conversations. Here's some flowers, sweetie. That's what women do for advice. They just train men to be simps. Terrible advice. Women play the lady. I like the headline. Let's see if you follow through on this. Years ago, when I was teaching the humanities to homeschoolers, my mom once commented me, I wish boys knew how to treat girls. Girls don't even know how to treat girls. What are you talking about? I held my peace, but I remember thinking, ugh, I wish girls knew how to treat boys. That's my man. That's my man. Ladies, here's some advice from an old guy who has made plenty of mistakes, some of them horrible, in relationships. Stop self-deprecating. You're on to something here. Have the back of your husband or your partner you love. That's all we ask for. Look pretty and be supportive. That's it. It's pretty simple. As the Tammy Wynette song once sang, Stand By Your Man. Ugh. Whether you're just getting to know each other or you've been married for 30 years, be in his corner. If that guy loves you, count yourself blessed. Oh my God. This is actually good advice, okay? And that's something that hasn't been told by people out there. You go out there and you chase that bag, girl. You're a strong, independent woman. Guys don't care. Sorry. Don't care. Couldn't care less. They've made their way in the world, okay? They're successful men with good jobs, okay? And they have high net value, okay? They're strong and independent men, okay? They don't need to be combating somebody who is also, I'm a strong independent woman, because that means that you've taken on several masculine characteristics, like being disagreeable, loud, and boisterous. Maybe even some of your physical features have taken that on, either through your dress, your hairstyle, your makeup choices, okay? Men love women. They both complement each other. Both sexes are better together than they are apart. This is actually decent advice. One practical tip, don't assume that we men know what you want. Yeah, exactly. Whether you're talking to a friend or a therapist, please avoid saying of the man in your life, he should understand my wants and needs without me telling him. No, exactly. That's just stupid. It's like there's that old gag. It's like, oh, she's giving me the cold shoulder. Why? Because I cheated on her in a dream. Huh? What? How am I supposed to know any of that? Most of us don't. If you want us to understand, you need to take our chin between our thumb and forefinger, look us directly in the eye, and tell us what you want. That would be nice. It's just they don't do that. They don't do that. But it's also very telling for this guy in this article that the best piece of advice so far is number 4, the fourth. And finally, number 5, Viva la difference. In the movie My Fair Lady, this guy is old. Professor Higgins sings, "Why can't a woman be more like a man?" We're seeing that play out right now, and that's a bad thing to do. Often our own culture advocates that same idea. Exactly. The feminization of men and the masculization of women is being terrible. Oh my God, they even put that, I didn't even read that, promoting masculinity in women and femininity in men. I say no. See, he had to front load it with really bad ideas, but he actually got to it at this point. As a man, women are creatures of mystery to me, often unfathomable in delightful ways. When I first met the woman who would become my wife, her favorite beverage was Hawaiian punch with a few Oreo cookies complementing the treat. She loved shoes, having her head scratched, and naps when time permitted. Are you sure you're not married to a cat? I found these details fascinating, but the biggest mystery, one which I never solved, was why she ever loved me in the first place. Well, that's a problem. Maybe you're a good provider. Maybe you should probably self-analyze yourself. Maybe you're a good provider. Maybe you're a successful guy at some form or fashion. Obviously, you're published in a notable publication. Maybe you take good care of yourself so that you're the man other men want to be, and the man other women want to get with. Maybe that sense that you're a desirable catch. Maybe that's leading her to certain conclusions, if you know what I mean. Instead of erasing gender differences, or even worse, regarding them as walls that they should forever keep men and women far from love and romance, I say we should celebrate and enjoy the distinctions between the sexes. Yes. If, as some have proclaimed, romance is dead, then alas, so are we. Exactly, because one cannot create without the other. Like, you'll have some masculine women, men need us because without us you can't give life. I don't remember the last time that a woman ever successfully impregnated herself. And again, when the going gets tough, throughout history, case after case, study after study, who are the ones that make sure that societies are built and maintained? Oh yeah, exactly. That's all right though. It's a new age and everything is so much better. That's why fewer people age 18 to 29. Okay. Only 40% of men are having sex, and for women, it's been the same since 1965. Don't want to talk about the long-term effects of the sexual revolutions and the havoc that it's wreaked across all of society. Don't want to have that conversation quite yet. But again, what's most of the dating advice and the relationship advice that's out there? Men just need to be better men. Sure, that's nice, but there's also another side of that conversation that doesn't happen, okay? And that it needs to happen, and that needs to be understood by a lot more people that are out there. Sure, you can take responsibility for who you are and create the best version of yourself, but what we're telling people that's out there about becoming the best versions of themselves doesn't help them, okay? Men just need to be in touch with their feelings. No, just terrible advice, and we might talk about that again in the future, okay? And then women, you need to be a strong, independent woman, okay? Great advice if you want to run the relationship. And a woman who runs a relationship runs that relationship right into the ground. Sorry about some of these uncomfortable truths, but ask yourself if they're accurate or not. I think you might come to some uncomfortable conclusions. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Why don't you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.